I'm thinking that this will be very, very quick. I just want to do this little quick pop in to let you know about a couple of things about this podcast in particular. You know, first of all, before I get into that, I was watching one of my videos on Neptune through the 12 signs, and I had this thing where I replayed things back over and over again because I wanted to get it perfect, because I wanted to get it right, because I want to, like if I didn't catch something, or if I didn't hear something, or if I didn't understand something, then I go back. But then I, do it, and then, I don't understand, so I go back. So it becomes this perfectionistic thing. And every time I do it, every time I watch video or read a book and I go back because I didn't understand it and it's perfectionistic, like I go back over and over again, especially, or just once, and then when I'm reading the book I missed the other part of it, or that I'm reading, or the the video, going back and seeing that part of it, then well, all I can just say is, good thing I don't have a voice running through my head right now. I am trying to think of what to say. I think that when I get it out, I will say in my videos, like, I have this voice that I'm dealing with right now. I may not film a video. I don't know what I'll do. It just depends on what I want to do with it. But just going back in videos, like when you're watching them, like I was watching one part of the video and I was going back over and over and over again because I was in my head about how, great I was at explaining things and how well versed I am in astrology. And I really, I do want to come on and talk about some things, but not the things I had planned to talk about. So it's kind of an off conversation. I know what to title it because I want to talk about what I really want to talk about. But I'm not going to get caught in that pattern anymore. I'm going to just detach and say to myself, well, I don't have to catch every single detail. Just because I'm in my head about something doesn't mean that I need to hear and understand every detail of this. So I just move on. And every time I move on with something, I feel better, because that is looking at the big picture. That is not getting caught in perfectionism. That is not getting stuck in something. That's moving on. And every time I do that in my life, I feel luckier. I feel better. Every time I go back to perfectionism, then I don't feel lucky. Then I don't feel good. And then I regret, and then I become very obsessed about it and very guilty about it, and then judge myself for doing that. So I judge myself for being perfectionistic. That's what I judge myself for mostly now. So I'm going to break the pattern of being perfectionistic. And I think that with becoming just so... Like, I noticed I was very, very stuck in myself today when it comes to talking to a family member on my phone about looking at how good my videos were, how I explained things in my video, in my 12 sign video. Like, I'm a pioneer with what I am doing. I'm putting something out there that nobody else has done before. I'm taking the characteristics of the signs, the qualities of the signs, and actually putting them into meaning with the transits. There's lightning going on outside, so I just saw a flash of it. But taking, say this transit, and what does this sign mean? How can the sign benefit? And what can the sign gain from this transit? instead of just, this is falling in your whatever house or whatever. I've hashed it out to death with family, and I don't want to go on a rant about that. But I was getting so caught up in just how good I sounded with things and how, great that I was, that I just felt very, very sucked into myself, like so caught up in knowing that I just have this mentality like I know more than others and I am better than others, even though I don't believe that. I am just interested in others. I don't find others as interesting. I don't find other content as interesting as I'm so sucked into myself. And I only know it when I notice that feeling come up where I'm not just learning and just being and just living for the sake of living. I'm caught up in my performance and how good I sounded and how good I presented myself, and not just surrendering and living a more balanced life with not always being so consumed with myself, and to the point where I feel not drained necessarily, but just like I'm kind of so absorbed into how proud I am and how good I am as a speaker with the information that I lose sight of everything else. That I lose sight of the outside world, that I lose sight of talking to family, to doing all this stuff. And the other thing I'm going to say is, I am not going to go back and redo. Well, I mean, I'm debating. Should I go back and redo what I did perfectionistically? Well, maybe I won't. Maybe I won't. Because what that does is it ruins an association with something. You impurify an association with that thing by going back and doing it over and over and over. Trying to perfect it, trying to get it right. You ruin an association. Instead of looking at it as a positive, the more you do it over and over again and perfect it, you ruin that association with the thing itself. So I'm not going to go that route. I was going to film a podcast episode today about my hospital experiences, but you know what? I'm not feeling the inspiration. Like, I feel like it's something that I have to do because this is a part of my life that came up, and I want to talk about it on this podcast because it's the Real Me podcast and everything. So I feel like I need to talk about it. Like, it's this need to talk about it, like this pull, this pressure to talk about it. But I would burn myself out, and I just don't have the inspiration to want to talk about it. I want to come on and talk about it, just to get it posted and get it done and get it out. And I don't feel like I want to get it out. I don't feel like I want to express it. So I'm here to clarify some things about this podcast. Well, maybe I will go back and see that thing and, do it the right way, not in a perfectionistic way. Well, what I've come to realize is if you do something and you're perfectionistic about it, just do it again to form a new association of it. Do it again to form a new association of it in a way that is not perfectionistic, and see how that goes. Like, just start over. Like, if you're reading a book and then you become perfectionist about reading this part over and over again, then just start the book over, start the chapter over, start the page over, or start a new book. Do whatever works for you and what makes sense for you with that. I'm not here to tell you how to live your life. But I want to talk about the real me. This is an authentic podcast, and I say what is authentic to me, what is true for me. This is I'm being vulnerable to you, and I have been vulnerable with the episode on the voice in my head, the episode on my all my issues going on between 2019 to 2025. I was vulnerable on the last episode, the scooter episode, I was vulnerable in a lot of episodes because I wanted to be, because it felt authentic and real to me. And this is a place where I freely express, where, my authentic self and what's really going on behind the scenes in my life. And there's no paywall, there's no membership. I just come on and express myself unapologetically. Maybe, just maybe, Carly from Owning Authenticity will come across this podcast and be very intrigued by it, and my content, and be very, very intrigued by it. Who knows? If she would be watching any one of my episodes of any of these podcasts and kind of take from me what she can with, her videos. Because I did get the idea of doing the 12 sign readings from her. I just talked about it in my own way, in my own concise and to the point way, with my own style of doing it. But the idea originally came from her, so I have to give her credit for that. She did it in a complete, a different way than I did, but that was a very, very good idea, and I took it. I share what is authentic to me on this podcast. I also come on and do a podcast when I authentically want to do a podcast, when I'm feeling energetic and revved up and inspired to do a podcast, not when I'm feeling tired. I have to get this done because this is part of the Real Me podcast. I tell my life on this podcast, and I didn't tell this aspect of my life, so I have to tell. I'm not going to be burdened. There's a difference between being open and being, authentic about showing your life, but then it's about, not having the burden of always having to share everything that your mind thinks of. When I had this idea, I want to talk about this aspect of my life, but I feel so tired. I just don't feel it in my heart that I want to express it. And so if that's the case, listen to your body and, relax and don't push yourself on it. Just let go of needing to produce. Let go of needing to just put it out there and act on every idea that you have, because there's a limit where you can't always do that, because maybe you're tired, maybe you're not in the right mindset. And I just feel exhausted from listening to myself talk about astrology this evening. I feel exhausted from doing videos today. I don't feel the motivation to sit down and really talk to you about that experience, because it would not be very good and it would not be fun, because I don't want to do it. There's no predictability in this podcast. I may upload 2 days from now. I may upload 2 weeks from now. I don't know. I have to detach from always needing to continue to update the podcast and produce when I don't feel like it with this podcast. So I'm going to have to accept that I'm not going to always want to do it, and not to always have to produce. That actually gives me a golden opportunity to focus on other things. And I realize that, focus on watching my history documents, focus on reading my book, all these other interests that were really, really strong as soon as I got out of the hospital, but I put on the back burner. There is a part of me that feels like I really, really want to get back to those things. There's almost a part of me that feels just guilty. I shouldn't be making these videos. I shouldn't be doing this, because I'm constantly doing it. Constantly. That's kind of become my life, is producing and making these videos, as you can tell from the very prolific and busy view of my channel lately. Is this just kind of as I said, just guilt for making videos. Like, I shouldn't be doing this. I should be focused on other things. This isn't the best use of my time. Like, all these narratives I have. All these narratives that I have about feeling insecure if the video is going to be uploaded or, what have you. With this podcast, I come on whenever I want, whenever I feel compelled, not when I don't. The Real Me podcast is for me to share my real authentic voice with you, what's going on in my life, the experiences I've had in my life, my thoughts about anything at all, just thoughts, just insights. That's it, no research information, mainly no research information. The research information combined with insight, or should I say the information combined with insight, is on my other podcast, The Essence of Google, in which if I did that all the time, day in and day out, I would burn myself out with that podcast. And I mean, like for the transits, like when I do videos for the transits, I see Molly McCord, who does 3 podcasts a week plus additional videos on the transits. Like, you are just burning yourself out with these things, these transits. What is the novelty? What is the curiosity that you're going to have with watching other astrologers, other podcasts, learning about just sitting and receiving these events, as always opposed to having to talk about every little thing that's going on in the sky? Like, that's what I used to do with astrology, is to just feel like to talk about every little bit of information, everything that's going on. And, there used to be this guilt. Just this guilt. Just this comparison between me. I see another astrologer talking about a transit I didn't talk about. I need to talk about this. That doesn't work for me. I want to do it in a way that works for me, in a way that's fun for me. And doing it in a way that's fun for me is doing it where I am doing this podcast whenever I feel compelled to, or feel inspired, or just feel in the mood to come on and talk. Not that I have to because, this topic, I didn't get to this, I have to get to this video. Like, no. That is why I have a schedule. That is why I have limitations for my other podcast, The Essence of Google. So, the point of this podcast is to share me being myself, and if I'm not doing it when I want to, not saying what I want to when I want to on this podcast, I'm not being the real me. I'm not being true to myself. I'm being a perceived expectation of who I should be on this podcast, which is to present my life and everything like that. I'm not being the real me. Being the real me is doing what I feel that is right to do in the moment. And if it feels right to relax and to not produce and to do something else in the moment, that's what I will do. So I wanted to clarify that on this video about the real point of the Real Me podcast. And, I did want to come on and share things, but it wasn't the hospital thing. Yeah, I may feel inspired to come on and share it tomorrow in a couple of days. I'm just going to detach from having to share every aspect of my life with you. Even though it's big. Just, if I don't feel the inspiration, if I don't feel like I want to, I just will relax about it and not do it. And just say, it's okay. It's okay not to produce. It is okay not to do it. It is okay to relax and just chill and do other things. It is okay to receive. And sometimes I produce so many videos, I'm like, oh my gosh, I am not receiving enough. I am not just enjoying and living life enough, beyond this. And it's kind of a thing that I'm perpetuating. The very, very first episode, which was a episode I meant to put on the Essence of Google podcast, but I feel like I abused this podcast by putting it on there, so I just slid it into the podcast, was going back to self-absorption. Like, I like listening to myself, and I think of myself as a role model, like a best friend, somebody that I would look up to because I'm on the internet, because I'm just talking about astrology and everything in my own way, and I just have a fascination with myself, like I'm admiring myself, like I'm just really drawn to myself and what I have to say with the way that I have to say it, because I just sound so good. It's just my internal thought going on in my head about that. But it's not about producing all the time and burning yourself out and doing it just because you feel like you ought to, because you have this idea and you feel like you just want to get it done out of the way. I'm not going to do things like that. I'm going to operate my life from the place of having energy to do the thing, motivation to do the thing. And sometimes you have to get yourself to do it before you do the motivation. I realize that. But, not when I feel drained or, burdened, because it is not worth risking my peace, my inner serenity, my inner contentment for a video, for something that I have to produce, because there's a part of me, there's a critic, there's a part of me inside me that's like, you have to produce this. When my heart and my intuition is saying, no, take a break, pull back, do something else, just relax, it's fine. So I think that's all that I want to end this podcast with. I'll upload this to my podcast and just not give in to perfectionism if I can help it anymore, because I'm really, really self-aware. Every time I give in, guilt, regret, lack of contentment. Every time I look at the big picture and just move on and detach, I feel happy. I feel lucky. And I think that the fact that I have that awareness of that within myself is huge. It's huge. It's me knowing who I am as myself. And I intend to live a life with the message of knowing thyself, knowing who I am, and living that authentic truth. So that's all I want to say in this podcast. And, I will see you whenever I next feel like I want to upload an episode. Do not expect episodes to come. There may be a lot of episodes at one time. There may be a huge break, and then I might get back to it for like months or weeks. Or the other podcast, The Vastness of Google, is a planned podcast. You can expect 3 videos a week, on my channel. Maybe it won't be in the podcast itself, but I'll probably make most of them, in the podcast. Like, the whole point of the podcast is audio recording. It's not like other types of videos. So anyway, that gets too complicated. I want to end it off with this, and I will see you in the next episode. I assume that there will be a next episode. Bye for now.